Due to popular demand this week, we're taking a look at AUT's Asgore, or more specifically, how absolutely ridiculous the AUT devs thought it should be to unlock AUT's Asgore. Do I think that this video will change anything? Probably not. Am I still going to make this video out of principle, especially for the people who asked me to? Yes. But for those unaffiliated, a few days back, AUT updated, and it added the Asgore spec. The problem with the Asgore spec is that some psychopath on the development team decided that it would be a phenomenal idea to lock the Asgore spec specifically behind killing a boss with the standless ability. That alone can be easier said than done, especially with AUT's bosses, as they're sometimes questionable in their AI fairness, something that I've talked about before. But if the art of unlocking the ability was just taking standless and beating a boss, we wouldn't be here talking about this now, would we? As many in my Discord DMs told me, the way you obtain Asgore is a 1% drop rate of a boss that you kill with standless that spawns every hour. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, so then the question becomes, who the flying fuck signed off on this and thought this would be a good idea for game design or unlocking a spec? Seriously, like, did you guys just run out of ideas? Were you like, oh, we're out of time and we need to update the game. Let's just waste as many people's time as possible. Because a 1% chance on a boss that spawns every hour, that's just absolutely baffling. That's what it is. It's absolutely baffling. That's a 1 in 100 chance. If we just assume that it takes you 50 tries, which is a lot, that's 50 hours of farming a boss. One boss. 50 hours. And that's if you get lucky. If you get unlucky, let's imagine worst case scenario. It takes you 100 tries. You just spent 100 hours sitting there waiting for a boss to spawn. What the fuck? Like, I genuinely don't understand. Did they think this would be okay and there wouldn't be any backlash whatsoever? What is the thought process behind the people that are working on this that they think that that's okay? Like, am I just going crazy? Am I wrong here? I don't think so. I get it. It's hard to write quests and make obtaining abilities interesting. I totally understand that. But if you're gonna cop out, at the very least cop out and don't waste hundreds of hours of people's time. Now thankfully, the developers evidently heard the backlash and decided, okay, maybe 1% for an hour wait time is maybe a little bit much. So they increased it. Now it's 5%, and you have to wait 30 minutes. Okay, well that's still fucking ridiculous. Surely I'm not the only person who thinks that this is absolutely ridiculous. I refuse to believe that. Now instead of a 1 in 100 chance, it's a 1 in 20 chance, which is significantly better, but still not good. Assuming it takes 10 attempts, it's still gonna take you 5 hours of sitting around waiting for a boss to respawn. So then the question, of course, becomes why? Why did the developers decide to put in a 5%, 1%, whatever drop rate for this new spec? What was the reasoning behind it? And I think we all know what it was. It was to make people pay 500 Robux to spawn the Asgore boss. It's right here. It's the most expensive boss to spawn, and literally 0 people are surprised by this. This is an embarrassment, and the people that were behind this decision should frankly be ashamed of themselves. What a sad attempt at a cash grab. And I bet you it worked. I bet you there's a bunch of incredibly stupid people out there that spent a bunch of money in order to unlock this spec. And I feel even worse for the stupid people who spent money on this before they buffed the drop rates, because I bet you they feel like a real jackass right now. Now that being said, there are 2 other things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to AUT, and the first one is this new boss. Is it any good? Well, not really. If you're struggling with it for some reason, I've pretty much got the 100% way to beat it, and it's stand perfectly still, mash M1s, and use every ability that you have aside from your E when it's off cooldown. If you get a good AI cycle, he'll never hit you. If you get a bad AI cycle, you'll die. It's a 50-50, and it really doesn't take that long once you get the correct cycle to work off of. You also should use your awakening as soon as you get it, because it increases your damage and decreases the damage taken, which is really helpful when you're fighting a boss with a shitload of health. But really, fighting the boss is not that hard once you understand how to beat it. Again, stand still, press buttons. It's not very interactive. Now the other thing is skins, which is something that I didn't really plan on talking about, and I'm still not really planning on talking about at too much length, because frankly, I just don't give a damn about skins. I think that cosmetics are cool when you earn them, and I think they're lame when you buy them. And in the current age of gaming, you buy them. So I just don't really care. I'll go out of my way to grind the Call of Duty Mastery camos because they mean something. I won't go out of my way to be impressed by someone who rolled a 5% drop chance because it's random. They didn't earn that, they just got lucky. Now Zog from my Discord DM sums this stuff up better than I can, so we're just gonna go off of his DM that he sent me. Apparently, AUT's brought in a shop where you can buy any of the skins other than the mod skins, but the problem with the shop is that the only thing that you can use in order to get the skins is U shards, and you only get 1 U shard every 150 skin crates. The problem is that the math comes out to 15,000 Robux for 1 shard, and the average pricing for a skin is 3 shards. So in other words, 45,000 Robux for 1 skin. Now, as Zog says, a honeypot for whales, so be it, whatever, who cares? But apparently, they put a skin on sale, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce, that you could only obtain if you had the Umbra spec in Old Universe before they ported it over to New Universe and let other people get it. And the Umbra in Old Universe, only about 200 people or so had, and the skin was trade locked, so no other people could get it. In other words, basically only 200 people had it, and there was no other way to get it. So in other words, it had merit. The problem is that they decided to put this limited skin from 3 years ago on sale for 45,000 Robux for the whales to buy. Now I'm just gonna come out and say it. If AUT wants to charge 3 million Robux for skins, I really couldn't give less of a shit. So I'm really sorry to Zog and everyone else who's messaged me about these skin pricing things and how bad they are, because just like with YBA, man, do I not care. These digital skins are worth nothing, guys. There's literally no point of them. And if people are dumb enough to spend a ridiculous amount of money on these skins, that's not on the game developers for having a terrible system. That's on the players for playing into the terrible system. It's a simple instance of supply and demand. If people are willing to pay those prices, then of course AUT's going to charge those prices because morons are paying it. It's that simple. So who you should really be mad at is the dipshits who are paying 45,000 Robux for a singular skin. They're ruining it for the rest of you. And considering that it's not actual gameplay content and means absolutely nothing to the game, I just don't care. If they decided to lock an ability behind 45,000 Robux, yeah, then I'd probably be pretty pissed off. And I'm already frustrated enough with their 1% drop rates and 500 Robux spawn for the boss because they can't be asked to make any sort of an effort other than cashing in. Now, as for me, I'm extremely privileged, and I also got lucky. Out of the 10 average attempts that it should have taken me in order to unlock the spec, it only took me 5. So in other words, only 2.5 hours of sitting around waiting for a boss to respawn. But the thing is, I have 2.5 hours to leave this game tabbed out while I'm doing other things. In this instance, I was just editing a video and I left the game open in the background. Is that really the environment that you want to foster? You want people to sit there and not play the game for hours at a time? And the sad thing is that the answer's probably yes, and that makes me a little bit depressed. It feels like the longer I'm on this platform, the more and more sick I get of seeing these EA microtransaction, anti-consumer, just nonsense absolutely everywhere, normalized for children to consume. It's almost a little bit scary, I won't lie. Kids are gonna grow up with these awful monetization systems and terrible drop rates, and just accept that as the norm when they get into other games, and that's terrifying. It probably sounds like some doomer speak, but I genuinely believe that platforms like Roblox have the ability to seriously negatively impact the whole industry a few years down the line. Once kids think that stuff like this is normal, EA can get away with whatever they want. But whatever, it's not like there's anything I can do about it. I can come on here and yell at developers for being jackasses and having 5% drop rates, but it's not actually going to make any change, so I'll just wrap things up here. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, yada yada. If you didn't, don't, and I'll see you guys next time.